Okay, today we're going to make smoked salmon. So the first thing we do is we're going to put together the cure. The salmon's not sick, but you still need to cure it. So what we have here is 3/4 of a cup of dark brown sugar, 3/4 of a cup of kosher salt, and then the spices. We have a teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, allspice, and mace. Put that all together, and then we'll just mix it up with KitchenAid. I use a KitchenAid to mix up the dry ingredients. It helps break up the little lumps of brown sugar. If the lumps don't break up with the KitchenAid, you can always just use a fork to break them up a little bit smaller. So now we're going to wash the fish. We'll just rinse it off with a bit of water. When I buy the salmon, I usually look for a piece that's quite thick because it makes it a little bit easier to slice when we finish the process. So we'll just dry it with a bit of KitchenAid. Now I've patted the dry fish. We're going to score it with a very sharp knife, just 3 or 4 shallow cuts in the skin. So I cure the fish in a shallow Pyrex dish. So I'm going to put in some cheesecloth to keep the cure beside the fish. So put the cheesecloth in, and then I put down a bed of our cure, like so. Now put the fish flesh side down on the cure, and then we will cover it up with the rest of the cure. Now we'll wrap it up and stick it in the fridge for 3 days. Okay, so I'm going to wrap the fish in the cheesecloth to keep the cure beside the fish. And then I'm going to put a weight on top of it while it cures. So the weight I have is a couple of pieces of tile, which I wrap in foil to stop them from becoming fishy smelling. I'm going to put the tile on the fish, and I'm going to put the whole lot in the fridge for 3 days or so. I've done it for 1 day, 2 days, but I'm going to try 3 this time. And after that, we'll continue telling you how to do the fish. Okay, so the fish has been sitting in the cure in the fridge for 3 days. What we're going to do now is we're going to take the fish out of the cure, rinse it off. At that stage, you can slice it up and eat it. It's what they call gravlax. But we're going to actually make it into smoked salmon. So what we'll do is we'll rinse off the fish, we'll pat it dry. We'll then put it back in the fridge uncovered for 6 to 12 hours to develop a pellicule, which the smoke's going to stick to. You'll notice at this stage that the fish is pretty stiff. So a lot of the moisture's been replaced with salt and sugar and spices that we had it sitting in for 3 days. So as I said, we will just put this on a grate, on a plate, and stick it in the fridge for another 6 to 12 hours. So the salmon has been sitting in the fridge for about 8 hours now, so it has a pellicule. The pellicule is what the smoke's going to stick to. So what we're going to do is, first thing we need to do is light a couple of coals. We only want a few coals lit. We're not cooking at a high temperature, we're cold smoking. It's very important that the salmon stays below 90 degrees when you're cold smoking. So what I'll do is first I'll set up a couple of trays. So we're going to make a couple of containers for the coals. We're going to make 2 containers, one that contains the hot coals, and another one that we're going to just put some wood on with a coal to provide the smoke. So I just make a little one from foil. Just fold up the corners to make a little disposable tray. We'll make 2 of these. So just fold up the sides to make a square container. Like that. Okay, so we only need a few coals, so we're not going to fill the chimney all the way up. We're just going to fill it a little way up. I use the chimney to light the coals because you don't get any chemical taste on the coals. So you just have a little bit of paper in the bottom, and then you light it, and it lights the coals for you. So the smoke stopped coming out of the chimney, so that means our coals are lit. So you remember we made 2 foil containers. We're going to put all the lit coals in one, and we are just going to take these coals whenever we need them. Basically, we're just going to use one at a time to basically cause smoke to come off a chunk of apple wood. So you take a good one here and bring it over to just a regular barbecue. No smoker required. And put it on the chunk of apple wood. As the coal burns, it'll cause the apple wood to smoke. The lid will go in the barbecue, and that'll just collect the smoke. That'll smoke the fish. So every half hour or so, I check to make sure we got a good bunch of smoke coming. You'll see I ended up putting 2 coals on a piece of wood. One coal just wasn't getting me enough smoke. But it's important to keep it controlled and make sure it doesn't get too hot. I also keep a bank of coals over here so that I'm going to add a couple more coals to that. So I have coals, nice hot coals ready when I need them. Again, the whole smoking process is about 3 hours. So we smoked the salmon for about 3 hours. Now we're going to take the skin off. So all you do is peel it off. Just be gentle. You don't want to lose too much of your salmon flesh. It comes off pretty easy. Once we've got it peeled off, we're going to slice the salmon, and we'll be ready to eat. Now we're going to slice the salmon. It's important to have a very sharp knife because you want nice thin cuts. I always sharpen my knife just before I cut it. And now we're going to slice this way so that we get nice, long, thin slices. First piece we will just be discarding because it's all just the outside, which is a little bit too salty. But after that, we're getting lovely, nice pieces of smoked salmon. And basically we're just going to slice like this until we have everything all cut up. So there you have it. We sliced up all our smoked salmon. That's about 1.5 pounds. I'm going to cover it with cling film and just eat it over the next week or so. I keep it in the fridge for about a week. It's great for parties too. Hope you like the recipe, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks.